A single corroded ground on a Bobcat T250 can throw multiple service codes at once, all pointing at healthy parts. That's not a forum rumor. It's printed in the factory manual right beside the code tables. So here's what actually breaks on a T250, what each failure shows you first, and where the money really goes. Start with how this machine talks, because every dollar after this depends on reading it correctly. The service code shows up in the left instrument panel, in the hour meter and code display. If more than one code is stored, they scroll. Glance up late, and you catch the tail end of one. That same window also shows base, or SHDDN, the shutdown feature, so know which screen you're reading. A code is a symptom with an address. It tells you where to look. It doesn't tell you what to buy. Confuse those two and you'll buy a part that was never broken, which is exactly weak point 1. Grounds and connections. The manual says corroded or loose grounds cause multiple service codes and abnormal symptoms. So when you see that pattern, it tells you to check the grounds, not third, not after the parts order. The tell is randomness, codes that don't belong together, faults that come and go over a bump. It's the charging cable that only works held at one exact angle. Cold morning fine warm frame flexes. Connection opens. The same problem lives in the connectors at the Bobcat controller. The manual has you confirm those connectors are locked into place, not just pushed together. Then check the pins. One pushed back in its housing or slightly bent reads exactly like a dead component. That repair is an afternoon and a wire brush. The other version of it's a module and a service call. Same code, same complaint, completely different invoice. That gap is the whole point of this video. If that just saved you a parts order, that's exactly what this channel is for. Stick around. Weak point 2, the ACS system, and the lift and tilt actuators behind it. Those faults live in the 32 codes, and there are more of them than any other group on this machine. Here's the part almost nobody knows. The system checks in a fixed order and stops at the first problem it finds. Lift handle sensor, then lift actuator. If those pass, it moves to the tilt handle sensor and tilt actuator. First fault found. The icon lights and the checking stops. So fixing one can expose a second behind it. That second code is a new damage. That's just the line moving up. Now the split that decides your bill. 3236 is lift actuator fault. 3231 is tilt actuator fault. Those two point at the actuator itself. That's hardware, and hardware has a price. But 3237 is lift actuator wiring fault. 3232 is tilt actuator wiring fault. And 3238 is lift handle wiring fault. 3233 is tilt handle wiring fault. All four are wiring, not the part. One digit apart on the display, nowhere near each other on the invoice. Then the neutral group. 3239 is lift actuator, not in neutral. 3234 is tilt actuator, not in neutral. 3240 is lift handle or pedal, not in neutral. 3235 is the tilt handle or pedal. That's the machine that refuses to do anything at startup with nothing visibly wrong anywhere on it. And before you condemn a single part, look for 3223. ACS not calibrated. That's a procedure, not a purchase. Then the shorts. 3249 and 3250 are the lift and tilt actuators shorted to ground. 3251 and 3252 are those same actuators shorted to battery, and 3253 through 3256 cover the handles and pedals. A short like that usually means a wire that's been rubbing on something for months before anybody noticed. Now the two most ignored codes on the whole list, 3257 and 3258, lift and tilt actuator reduced performance. Reduced performance means it still works, just worse. Nobody writes that one down until it stops being reduced. Stranger still, 3259 is lift actuator wrong direction. 3260 is tilt actuator wrong direction. That's the machine commanding one thing and measuring another. It's disagreeing with itself and it's telling you so. And the one that ends the conversation, 3241, no communication. Nothing's answering. That could be a controller. It could just as easily be that ground from 4 minutes ago. Weak point 3, the parking brake that won't release. Every light says it should be off. It sits there anyway. The manual's checklist starts cheap on purpose. First item, the brake 30-amp fuse. While you're in there, check the other fuses, check the fuse block for correct orientation, and look for loose spade connectors. If the fuse is good, test a solenoid. The coil should read about 9.8 ohms. Then check the solenoid wiring voltage. It should read 12 volts. Ohms out of range, says the coil. Missing voltage says you've got a wiring problem, not a solenoid problem. The same list checks the brake solenoid mounting nut for correct torque, plus loose or bent pins. Most of it costs only time. Weak point 4, and now we're into real money. Hydraulic power that quietly fades. It's never dramatic. The bucket curls slower under load. A full lift takes a beat longer than it did last season. Cold oil hides it. It's the car door that only sticks in January. So the test starts by warming the fluid to 140 degrees Fahrenheit, 60 Celsius, before anybody reads a gauge. You do that with the restrictor control on the tester held around 1000 psi until the oil comes up to temperature. Then you read it. On this machine, main relief is 3300 psi. That's 22,753 kilopascals. On the high flow pump, the spec window is 3250 to 3300 psi at system relief pressure and full RPM. The manual puts it in capitals, don't exceed 3300 psi. There's a second setting in that section near 2800 psi. This is authorized service personnel work. Wrong adjustments cause injury or death, and a low reading is either a valve or a worn pump. Weak point 5, the solenoids that run your attachments, and the 2-speed. 23.2 is rear base solenoid error ON. 23.3 is rear base solenoid error off. 24.2 is rear rod solenoid error OM. 24.3 is rear rod solenoid error OF. 2-speed gets its own pair. 37.2 is 2-speed secondary error OM. 37.3 is that error off. The symptom is an attachment that won't respond, or a machine stuck in one speed. Check the circuit before the coil. Weak point 6 is the one people misread constantly. The fuel level circuit. 99 is fuel level low. That one's honest. Go fill it. But 921 is fuel level out of range high, and 922 is fuel level out of range low. Out of range isn't about fuel, that's a reading the machine calls impossible, and impossible means the sender or its wiring, which brings us to the failure that dwarfs everything else on this list. And it isn't electrical at all. It's the undercarriage, rubber tracks, rollers, idlers, sprockets, the parts that never set a single code. Nothing warns you. There's no icon for a track, you just notice it one day, months late, in the yard. The service manual devotes a whole section to track damage, listing each damage pattern next to its probable cause. Read that chart and something uncomfortable shows up. Most of those causes are operating habits, not defects, which is exactly why the manual follows it with a list of preventions to minimize track damage. The early symptoms are visual and boring. Chunking at the edges, exposed cord, uneven wear across the rollers. There's no cheap version of this repair. A track set plus the rollers it chewed up is the biggest line here. The cheap version already happened 2 years ago on the mornings somebody skipped the 5-minute walk-around. So here's the map. A code gives you a location, not a part. Grounds and pins, fake failures better than anything. Wiring codes and actuator codes sit 1 digit apart and worlds apart on price. And the undercarriage bills you for old habits. The exact codes, pressures, and procedures are in the service manual linked below. Like this, if it saved you a guess. Subscribe for daily diagnostics. Next up, the charging system check on this machine. Until then, check your grounds first.